Hey folks, this is Vince with Dance Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Shadows of Doubt. This is a game that you can find on Steam's Early Access program for about 20 bucks or so, and I stress early access. Everything that you're about to see is subject to change. If you like what you see, there's actually a 20% sale going on right now until early February, February 5th, I think. So grab it while you can, because this game is both brilliant and very buggy. It's full of jank. I'll just warn you. I got stuck in the wall a couple of times, different things like that. So what is this game all about? Well, it's an open world whodunit. Think Clue, but on a larger scale. You are a private investigator, and you're going to go around this open world and take cases. There is a tutorial case that is the same every time, and I will admit the tutorial is not as hand-holdy as I would like, because there's a lot of concepts in here that I had to figure out as I was going. I even played the tutorial twice, because I failed miserably the first time. Then there's a sandbox mode, which will just continuously generate these procedural cases. I have not done that, but you can adjust the difficulty. You can adjust how much money you start with, how many lockpicks. Lockpicks are really important because you're going to be breaking into people's houses. You're going to be breaking into saves, disabling cameras. This game is as much as a stealth game as it is an investigation style game. Now, explaining what this game can do is going to be a little difficult without sort of recapping my experiences with the tutorial. I kind of have to tell a story here. And I apologize, I'm kind of spoiling the tutorial. I mean, I had no other footage, so this is what you get. So you may see some, and you may see some samey information should you decide to get this game and play the tutorial for yourself. Anyway, so you get a phone call. The game takes you through your apartment, gets you used to the controls, kind of, sort of. And you get this phone call, and there's this breathing under the line. And you can actually use the phone to dial who was the last number who dialed me. That will lead you to an apartment, the victim's apartment. And you also get a note under your door that also tells you this. So you investigate the victim's apartment. You can get fingerprints. You can find clues. And you get to pin them to your evidence board. Eventually, the game will take you to, do you want to investigate this cafe where there are different leads that you can get. Do you want to go to the cafe where the victim, there was a receipt in the trash for this cafe, or do you want to go to his place of work? So I went to the cafe, and I actually broke into the back room, and I started accessing the computer, which is really cool, by the way, because you can actually shut off surveillance from there, different cameras and security systems. You can also look at the surveillance tapes to see who was where at what time. It's not a great interface. I didn't understand what the arrows meant, how to navigate the system. I was struggling. And keep in mind, this manager keeps coming in every 20 minutes to access this computer, so I'm constantly going in and out of this room trying to avoid detection at the same time. But you're going to use computers on occasion to get information, and you need to get passcodes for safes in these computers to access this information. That led me to another place, and I took some fingerprints. Apparently there was another victim. Apparently it was someone that was trying to warn the victim that they were about to die, or someone was coming after them. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I better check on this person. I did, and I found a corpse. I'm like, okay. So I started taking some fingerprints again. I'm like, okay, so now we've got 2 deaths. And I found the fingerprint there as well. There were 2 fingerprints at the original scene of the crime. It was the victims and this new person. And there was also the same fingerprint at this new location. So I'm like, okay, so the killer was in both places. That led me to, I don't know how, but I did some kind of phone record tracking. I don't know what the game was trying to get me to do. But I ended up in what I now know is the wrong person's apartment. And I just started beating him up. I don't... I thought I found a gun on one of their dressers, and the bullet wound. The victim was like, that's working. The victim had a bullet wound, so I'm like, well, they have a gun. So I'm like, this has to be the person because the phone records led me here somehow. I didn't understand how. Anyway. So that was this was my first playthrough, mind you, and it led to a mess. I was fighting in the hall. I fought with the two lady roommates, fisticuffs, and then I got stuck drinking out of the water fountain when I didn't want to be. I couldn't get out of the animation. I got stuck in a wall. I just, yeah. And then someone else came in and started helping this other lady. At that point, I was like, you know what? This is just getting a little bit too silly. And while I was fighting these two ladies, this random stranger came up and pulled out a sword from the looks of it, tried stabbing me. I think she stabbed the other person. I'm not sure, but it looked like there was a sword sticking out of the other lady. So I don't know what happened there. I eventually just like, okay, let's just start over. So I did a new playthrough. This time I went to the office. Instead of the cafe, I went to the place of work. Here I was like, okay, there's a breaker. There's a bunch of cameras. And I went at night when no one was there. And there were all these breakers. I'm like, okay, I'll break into this breaker box. I'll shut everything off. But the cameras were still on. So I didn't know, like they were off in the hallway, but not in the place of work. So that confused me a little bit. I eventually figured out that there's actually a second box inside that you have to also take care of, which I didn't know. Luckily, I mean, this place is huge. So there is an open world map and you can actually set waypoints. I eventually found what I was looking for. I'm trying to keep it spoiler light if I can. I found what I was looking for in the victim's workplace. And I had some time to kill. So I'm like, well, I stole some stuff. Yes, you can steal stuff. And I wanted to sell it. Apparently there's a pawn shop in town, but it was closed. But you can actually right click on location, set waypoints, and a little arrow on the bottom of the screen will guide you to your destination. So that's really cool. I really like that. I don't fully understand this yet, but I picked up some kind of medical upgrade vial thing. I tried going to a medical place and I walked into this machine, but I couldn't figure out how to apply this upgrade to myself. Again, this is more of a first impressions video. I'm just telling you, the game did not explain this concept or this vial to me at all. So this is overwhelming to say the least. Anyway, so eventually I'm like, okay, instead of going to the pawn shop, let's maybe investigate that one lady again. I remembered, oh, that second lady died, the one that was trying to warn the victim. So, okay, that's where the tutorial's sending me next. So I set a waypoint and I just started heading there. And I love that. There's a city directory. You can look up names. There are these books laying around like a telephone book. And you can open up the little pin sheet, and you can start pinning stuff to your evidence board. You can even draw strings between things if you really want to get fancy with it. The game will sometimes automatically do that for you anyway. But when I got there, she answered the door, and then this random lady came up and started shooting her. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I come early this time? Like, I started wondering, is time actually a factor in this game? Did I catch the killer before she had a chance to kill the second victim? I think I did. So eventually I did fisticuffs. I punched her in the face, I knocked her out, and I handcuffed her with what was in my inventory. And I looked through my evidence, and I saw some emails that I had printed from a computer. And it was implicating that someone was coming after them. Or the second victim was saying to the first victim, get out of there. This person is coming for you. So I'm like, maybe this is the killer. So I searched her and I found a gun. And I'm like, 8mm. The game actually goes there with the gunshot wounds, like matching the gunshot wound types. Anyway. So that's when, okay, I bet you she's the killer this time, which I completely misjudged it from my first playthrough. So again, make sure you pin everything because you'll be using that information later. What happens is once you think you know it, there's a form that you fill out and then you submit it to Town Hall. Town Hall is like the central location where you can buy lockpicks, you can buy code breaker things, But you're going to be using the evidence that you find to fill out this form, and you actually have to type in the name. But sometimes the game will go, okay, what's the murder weapon? So you open up your little evidence board and you click on the weapon, and it'll autofill the form that way. So that's really cool. And then I succeeded. I got everything right on my second playthrough, and then I'm looking forward to trying the sandbox because I'm sure I'm gonna mess it up. But like this game, it's like it both impresses me and frustrates me at the same time because the game doesn't really explain some of the key concepts to you, and it bugs out, and at the same time, it's surprising you with all the cool things that you can do. Oh, I can break into this apartment. I can steal everything, then pawn it. Or I can get at the evidence this way at the cafe, or I can go to his place of work and get the evidence that way. Both places will lead me to the same person, but in a different way. So, like, I'm looking forward to seeing the sandbox mode. I want to see, does the game actually create multiple paths that you can follow and get you to the same destination. And as you succeed, you start gaining, it's like reputation, I guess. I don't know what effect that has in your game, but your character gets, by the way, hot, cold, you can get injured, bleeding. So, like, there's a whole medical thing here, like The Sims. If you don't take care of yourself, you pass out, you wake up in a bed, then you either pay for your bill or you try and sneak out without paying. It's kind of funny. So, yeah, I recommend this game, but I have to warn you that the game is pretty janky and buggy right now. And it also doesn't do a very good job explaining how to do everything that you need to do. Like had I known about, how the cameras worked, for example, and how the security systems worked fully. I didn't know the breaker turned on after 2 minutes. Like, once you turn it off, it automatically resets in like a minute. I didn't know that. I was caught unaware, and then the camera saw me. And turrets apparently are everywhere in this game. There are auto turrets scattered around the city that will shoot you. Yeah, there's that. So yeah, like I'm very impressed by this game, and I cannot wait for everything to be fixed and everything to be fleshed out fully, because this is a game that I would play on a regular basis, because we have a lot of board games. Well, we have a couple of board games like Awkward Guests that are very investigative heavy. We enjoy whodunit games, and this is one of those kinds of games. And it's open world. The graphics are okay. I don't mind it, but yeah, like, it does a lot of cool things, but at the same time, a lot of things frustrate me with it. So I'd say keep this on your radar, maybe get it on a sale. Again, it's on sale right now, so I'd say check it out. Just be warned, there's a learning curve. Well, this is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Take care.